What is up, fanboys? Alan here with another review. So after 8 years after it was announced, it's finally here. Cyberpunk 2077. Does it live to the hype? Well, let's see it for ourselves.
As far. And our vantage point is really
Who the hell are you guys?
Okay, kidding aside, this game has some serious problems, even game-breaking ones. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but the game is buggier than your average Bethesda game. Yes, I said it. It was so bad and has a lot of issues. They had to pull it out on PlayStation Network and offer refunds on all the platforms for a buggy mess of a game. Well, the bugs and glitches were not the only issues for that. The performance of Cyberpunk in the last gen console is also terrible. That is actually the reason why they pulled it out on the PlayStation Network, because it's so terrible in the last gen consoles. I mean, to be fair, it's really old console, right? But just compare it to The Last of Us 2 or any recent first party Sony game that in the last few years. Come on guys, you can do better than this. This is just really unacceptable, especially for a developer like CD Projekt Red, where the community is actually calling them the chosen one. Well, I heard it from somewhere else. I think it's from Angry Joe or something. But anyways, I'm pretty sure they'll iron this out in the upcoming future updates, just like in The Witcher 3. So that's all, right? That's all the problem there is. Actually, no. It also has a lot of immersion breaking problems too. Like the AI, for example. The AI in this game is so terrible and weird. Okay, here is an example for a weird AI. First is how the crowd reacts towards you. The NPC that you're walking around you is so lifeless. They only have either one of these reactions: to cower, duck, or run. That's it. They don't even try to fight you at least. I mean, the game world is full of cybernetic enhancement. Everybody could defend their own now this time, right? I mean, it's just really weird to me, especially for the first-person sandbox game, where you see everything head-on. And lastly, the police system. Now, this one is bizarre to me, especially for a AAA sandbox game. Okay, let me give you an example. When you do a crime, you get a wanted level, just like any other sandbox game, right? Okay, let's compare it to Grand Theft Auto 5, or any Grand Theft Auto game. But this one is weird because when you do a crime, a police will suddenly teleport behind you, or right in front of you. It's not even a sneak away. It's right in front of you or behind you. It's so bizarre of a behavior. I don't know how it was approved for the final game. And that's not all. When you do drive or run away from them just for about 100 meters, they'll forget you even existed. Not even a countdown timer where the police will hunt you down or for a time being. No, they'll just straight up forget about you. That is a super massive immersion breaking for me. I mean, especially for a really super futuristic game like Cyberpunk. And what is up with the little things with this game? I don't know, maybe I'm a little spoiled with GTA 5, but that game came out 7 years ago. And the attention to details is so far ahead of its time. I mean, I get it's the game is more focused on the RPG elements, but come on, they could have at least made it a bit more realistic. Heck, I wouldn't be even mad if they took inspiration from the other games. And lastly, the customization. Oh boy, you don't even want me to get started on this one. You know, for a game that is all about cybernetic enhancement, this game has no lick of customization at all. Nada. Nothing. Well, not counting for the beginning of the game, which is the character creation, but even the character creation is severely lackluster. Compared to other character creation from other RPG games, this one is severely lacking, I'm telling you. So if you want to change something from your hair to body type, you have to restart your whole game. That is just really bullshit. Yes, you have to start the whole game just to change your goddamn hair. Okay, maybe I'm over exaggerating of the no customization at all. There is actually. It's clothing or the armor system, which is also bad. Not the whole clothing armor system where it gives you stats and whatnot. I think that part is fine. But if we're talking about the customizability of it, it is really bad. Because your character will end up looking dumb all the time. I mean, given it's not a third-person game, I mean, you still see your character in the inventory, and you look dumb all the time. Because if you really want to get that sweet stats for your character, you have to compromise your looks. I mean, they could have had remedied all this by adding a transmog like in Diablo, WoW, or any other games I could think of. Okay, that's all the negative side of things. Well, at least for me. Alright, let's talk about the positive side of things now. So, let's talk about the story. This is the major factor of this game. The story of this game is so good. Best story for a AAA title that I've played in a while. I know I said it a lot, but I'm not lying. You will really get sucked in it and invest the characters around you, where you will find yourself picking all the answers so carefully for the future outcome of your story. I believe every word you choose in this game will affect the outcome, the path of your story. The character development of each individual character is so well written that you will get invested in them very quickly. And to put the cherry on top, the way they made the conversation slash cutscene conversation is just so alive, as if you're talking to a real person. I'm not over exaggerating this one, okay? Or maybe I just haven't gotten out and talked to a few people in a while. But anyway, the way they made how you talk to people is just so human-like. I mean, I've seen it in other video games, but this one, there's just something to it. They got the mannerism on point, where they just don't look you in the eye to eye like a soulless robot, or doing something with their hands while they talk. You notice the wrinkles on their face, and you even notice if they're lying to you. It's just really on point. You know, just like when the time that you were going to confess to your crush and she thought you were gay the whole time. You know, real human emotions. The voice acting is also phenomenal. Excellent performance from all the actors, especially from Keanu Reeves, where you see him every time. So all in all, they really nailed this one, and I think this is the best one that I've seen in the video games. And yes, I forgot to mention there's also romance here, just like in The Witcher. No, romance, not the Roman Empire. The side quests are also very well made too. I mean, yeah, the side quests are all the same thing if you want to talk in general, but they're not. In the term of the story behind every side quest, that's why they're really fun to do. I think they used the same system for Witcher 3, which is a very good thing here. So expect a very like Witcher 3 type of side quest here. And now let's move on to the gunplay of the game. Now, this one I think is fine. Nothing amazing or game-breaking discovery. I'd say this one is a mix of a Borderlands and Deus Ex gunplay, and that's not bad at all. Those games is actually my favorite game. The gameplay is somewhat fun and realistic. Well, realistically in terms of the recoil on every guns and the swaying of the weapon. So there are a variety of guns, okay, because there's only 5 types of weapon in this game. A melee weapon, a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun, and lastly a sniper. And I wish they could have added a bit more variety to it, since you'll end up using the same rare guns with different stats the whole game. There's also the crafting, which is great. You can craft bullets, mods, meds, grenades, armor, melee weapons, and your guns. And I think the variety is just fine. It'll definitely just suit what you'll need. And we also have this skill tree here, which is actually a lot to choose from. And it's also kind of confusing from the start, but you know, eventually you'll get it. But in my experience, I actually really go to the root of other skill tree other than to help me to craft, gun weapon buffs, or to open doors. Those are actually just the thing that you need. But there's also a problem here. Well, for me. I feel like the skill points you receive from when you level up is too low. But I'm pretty sure it's just the balancing part of the game. Because if you really want to occupy all the space on a certain skill tree, you really need to do all the side quests for all that XP. And some skill trees are actually even not that useful for the entire game. Be careful on what you choose. But don't worry, there's actually an option to you to reset your skill points, but it's not going to be cheap, I'm telling you that. So, moving on. So as I mentioned before, there's a bunch of cybernetic enhancements in the game, where you could enhance your body via cyberware from these different Reaper docs. Like for example, you could attain double jumping via upgrading your legs, or install a blade in your arms, and so on and so forth. And installing a new eyeball makes the game more clearer. Nah, I'm just kidding, I don't think that's true. And now for the driving feel of the game. I think this is also just fine. If I could compare it to another game, I'd say it feels like GTA 4 type of vehicle physics here, with somewhat a heavier feel to it. You can also collect cars, but sadly, again, no customization here. just straight up collecting them and driving the ones that suits your taste. And just as you've seen from the trailers and early gameplays, the graphics of this game is drop dead gorgeous, especially on PC. Now, given I don't have a powerful enough of a PC to see it in full glory, but even in the lowest settings, this game still looks very good. The sound effects and the soundtrack is just as good. It really blends in the environment you're in, whether you're strolling around or killing bad guys. Okay, final thoughts and wishes from the game. I just really wish they added some quality of life improvements here in the game, because some of it is just annoying at this point. Like for example, there's no toggle to walk. The skip dialogue is also in the same key to the crouch, so sometimes you'll accidentally skip the dialogues when you're trying to stand up. And the minimap is so zoomed in that you always miss your turn when you're driving into a waypoint. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. The item looting is tedious. You need to pick up what's beside the item that you want to pick up in order to pick up the item that you really want. Does that make sense? And I hope they really fix this all soon. So, if you really want to experience Cyberpunk 2077, go ahead. Do all the mission and stop screwing around with the world if you really want to focus on the one thing. Because I'm telling you, the story is the one that's carrying this whole game, and its writing is just so good of a story. And it took me 30 hours to beat the game, and even missed some of the storylines, because I think the game has a lot of story endings. Well, you'll find out for yourself. But if you're really iffy about the bugs, the problems of the game, then I understand. I suggest waiting and buying 6 months from now, where they finalize the patches of the game. And for a game that was announced 8 years ago, with 3 consecutive delays, this game felt very rushed on the technical aspects of the game. Well, that's just my opinion. So as always, if you guys like the video, hit that like button and maybe subscribe for future contents like this one. So this is Alan, hitting that X button to sign out. Have a good day and Merry Christmas.
Fanboys!